People love athletic quarterbacks, except Lamar Jackson, and he's the best at it. I mean, Johnny Manziel comes out. I was assured, I didn't buy it, but he'd be great. And I have defended Kyler Murray, but he's tiny and regressing and hard to coach. And then I was told Justin Fields and Anthony Richardson. And it's like, I know what it looks like when it's great. And what it looks like when it's great is Lamar Jackson, who, because of his work ethic and his passion, has become the soul of the city, the soul of the franchise. Lamar Jackson's unbelievable. He's the greatest all-time running talent, and now Baltimore finally got him a star back who's healthy, really nice receivers, Mark Andrews tight end, and this is what it looks like. Think about Buffalo. A week ago, we thought Buffalo was the best team in the world. They gave up last night. They quit. They couldn't stop him. 9 yards of play in the first half. This is a guy that is 21-1 against the NFC, and Chris Collinsworth pointed this out. There's no way to prepare for Lamar Jackson. Your best bet is to be Cleveland, Cincinnati, or the Steelers. You see him a couple times a year, and you kind of understand the game speed and his ability. Those teams have a much better shot. Not even Mahomes dominates a conference like Lamar Jackson does. He's 21-1 against the NFC, because if you don't see him frequently or never, I mean, he humiliated an excellent Detroit team last year. He humiliated San Francisco. So no star quarterback in this sport, it's weird, has more critics. But y'all tell me you love the athletic quarterbacks. I like my quarterbacks to be athletic, but I don't even know if you can use that term for Lamar, because when I watch him, if you gave me one quarterback and one team to watch every week, half the time it would be Lamar Jackson. And what we try to do is, and this is the way it works, we've all had a boss like this. We all know this is true. Everybody tries to define you and jam you into a box. Like Jamie Foxx goes to Hollywood. He can dance, he can sing, he can act, he can do game shows, he's funny, he can do anything. Don't put him in a box. He can do anything. Lamar Jackson has a passer rating over 100. In the last 3 big games he's faced, because y'all tell me he doesn't win big games, KC, Dallas, and Buffalo. 2 of them were really good defenses. He's completing 69% of his throws. This is just the throwing part. 6 TDs, no picks. So you don't get any reckless. You get all the upside. What's the downside? Well, he can't beat Mahomes. Well, last time I checked, nobody except Brady at the end could. Like, I watched this kid. Yes, Derrick Henry was sensational. Well, Derrick Henry's been sensational most of his career. He's on the latter end of his career, but part of what allows Derrick Henry or a J.K. Dobbins or a running back to flourish with Lamar Jackson in this offense is you're terrified. You can't cheat. You can't lean into a good back, because if Lamar decides, I'm just going to keep it, he's faster than your corners and your linebackers and your safeties. The kid's incredible. I don't want to hear that he can't win big games. In the last calendar year, he's destroyed the Niners and the Cowboys and Buffalo and the Dolphins and Houston twice and Seattle and Cincinnati. He's winning big games. He can't beat Mahomes. The kid is absolutely remarkable. Passer rating over 100, exhilarating. If you're going to love the quarterbacks that move, then you have to love the greatest athletic moving quarterback at all time, but he's never been given respect. We're watching all these young quarterbacks throughout the course of NFL history. They struggle. They come into the league. They can't quite figure it out. They can't slow the game down. Lamar's the only player that came in, was faster than the league. They were hoping he would slow down. Week 11, first year comes in. Wow, next year MVP. As long as Lamar Jackson is healthy and quarterbacking the Baltimore Ravens, they will always be in the Super Bowl bubble.
Okay. So let's talk about this. I think Colin's saying a few things here, because Colin's talking about these general criticisms of Lamar, and truthfully, Colin was partly one of those critics. Now, Colin obviously changes his mind like everyone, which I always really respect, but, he's kind of acting like anyone who's criticized Lamar, it's just absurd, and yet he was part of that camp for a while. So, I think the issue with Lamar is this. I think in terms of the criticism that he gets, is that at this point, when you're a quarterback like Lamar's level, and you've had the success that he's had, and the Ravens as a whole have had, we really just no longer look at regular season, you know, moments as mattering, right? It's just like, it's all about what do you do in the playoffs? Do you win a Super Bowl? Like, right, what do you do? And I'm not saying that's right, but that is what people do, right? That is what people consistently do. It's like, okay, that was an awesome win. Go do it in the playoffs, right? Why can't Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, look like that versus the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship game? That's the problem. You get the AFC Championship game, and it's like you get a completely different Lamar. Lamar couldn't throw the ball, couldn't run, couldn't do anything that game, right? And it's just like, well, what that can? That's not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback on the offense. It's something completely different. That had nothing to do with anything. And I ripped the coaches for that game, right? And that's why I've always said that Lamar has underperformed because of coaching, right? Or you could even blame the GM to a degree. But I've always said that Lamar has not been utilized properly. And the problem is that he's failed enough times throughout his career, because he's not like a second-year player, that when he has these big moments, people will automatically just say, yeah, but go do it in the playoffs. He has got no Super Bowls. He's never even been to a Super Bowl. He's never won an AFC Championship game. And that's the standard. That's the standard that they would have held Tom Brady to, Patrick Mahomes to. It's what they hold Josh Allen to. It's what they do with every quarterback. They do it with every quarterback. It's not just Lamar. And the problem is that Lamar during the regular season and just game to game is so electric, so amazing, that it's like, that's amazing and everyone loves it and everyone gets excited for it. But then because there's all that excitement, there's that letdown during the regular season. It's the same thing that Colin could say about the Miami Dolphins during the regular season. Tua, right? They're blowing teams out. Let's go. Hanging like, what was it, 60, 70 points, whatever the heck it was. And then they couldn't do anything in the playoffs. And it's the same thing with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, right? As Nick Wright always says, oh, everyone crowns them the champions of September. And then come time playoffs, things just don't look right, whether it's the Chiefs, the Bengals, whoever. So that's also the problem when you have a quarterback like Mahomes during this era, who seemingly keeps winning, and the Chiefs keep finding a way, even when they don't even look good. If you looked at these two teams right now, so the Chiefs versus the Ravens, you'd say the Ravens are a million times better than the Kansas City Chiefs. You'd say Lamar Jackson is a million times better than Patrick Mahomes. Just go watch the games. And you would say, oh my God, Lamar Jackson is light years better than Patrick Mahomes. And the Ravens are light years better than the Chiefs. And then they play each other, and then that's not the story that's being told. That's the fundamental problem. That's where the criticism comes. And make no mistake about it, a lot of the criticism is coming from Patrick Mahomes fans, Josh Allen fans, right? Like, that's what I'm learning by doing this channel more and more. The critics that we speak of are typically critics of the other fan bases that feel threatened by the other quarterback. Josh Allen fans, I made a video where I was talking about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and oh my God, you would have thought that I said Lamar Jackson's the worst quarterback in the history of the world. And I was like, I didn't say that once. I mean, because I made, a couple days before that, I made a video all about Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, and Ravens fans were praising me, saying how amazing, oh my God, everything I'm saying is right. But then I have another video where I'm talking about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and it was like, my God, I mean, like, it just broke people's brains, and it turned into a war between Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, and that's like, it's these fan bases that go head to head with each other. And that's what becomes a little bit harder for me I understand it, but it's not my experience because I'm a general fan of all these teams. So if I say, hey, you know what, I think the Buffalo Bills are going to beat the Ravens or whatever, which I didn't even say, but if let's say I say that, people will come back and be like, what do you think now? Cole Harder. And it's like, dude, I've been like singing the praises of the Baltimore Ravens. Like, what? Like, last season when they were playing, when people were saying who's the MVP, I said Lamar Jackson. When I was saying, who's going to win, the Ravens or the 49ers, I said the Ravens. And the Miami Dolphins versus the Ravens, who's going to win? I said the Ravens. So people get so confused. It's these fan bases that go head to head, and it becomes, such a tribal aspect. So when Colin is saying he's got these critics, it's like, well, I think it's the Buffalo Bills fans. It's the Patrick Mahomes fans, the Kansas City Chiefs fans, because they're like, well, my guy wins Super Bowls, right? My guy wins Super Bowls. My guy beats your guy head to head. That's where the criticism comes from. And also the Ravens' failure to really achieve. Lamar Jackson's unbelievable. Lamar Jackson's one of the best to do it. And yet, how many AFC championship games has he been to? How many Super Bowls has he been to? That's a fundamental flaw of the Baltimore Ravens. If Colin, and I know he's very pro Harbaugh, and I think that's why he's kind of extra gentle towards it, but if Lamar Jackson was this type of quarterback and had this type of level of success, and he played for another team, whether it be the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Lions, I mean, just insert any team outside of maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, and he would say, Coach Steph's got to go. You can't have a quarterback this good and not win. Like, what is going on? Right? So, like, that, I think, is also the issue. Me, as someone who loves and appreciates Lamar Jackson and what the Baltimore Ravens do, I'm like, you're so great. You're so dominant. You need to win more. Like, we need to see you be better in the playoffs. He's really only had one great game in the playoffs, and even that first half was rocky against the Texans. And then he followed it up with not a great game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which, again, I blame coaching. I blame coaching. But the problem is it's still what we see. Now, this whole thing with Derrick Henry is fascinating. I mean, Derrick Henry had nearly more rushing yards himself than Lamar Jackson had passing and rushing yards combined. I mean, that's massive. You never see that, ever. So let's make no mistake about it. That's going to help big time. That's going to help Lamar Jackson big time. That's going to help the Ravens big time. But it's like, you know, what the Ravens were able to do versus the Bills, you kind of look at yourself and you say, well, how did this team ever let the Cowboys almost win that game and get back in the game? How did the Ravens lose against the Raiders? How did the Ravens lose against the Chiefs? Look how the Chiefs are playing each game and each team. So I don't know how to make sense of it, quite frankly. And that's why the Ravens have become a team to me now, and they weren't like this to me until this year, quite frankly, where it's just like, I got to see what you do in the playoffs. I got to see Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens ball. And it's not to say that I don't think they can, but I got to see the coaching not get out coached. I got to see Lamar not look too small for the moment. I got to see it. And I think I will, and I'm excited to see it. But it just needs to happen. There's no more, because I think the Baltimore Ravens could win every single game from here on out. And I think the vast majority of people would still say, let's see what they do in the playoffs. And rightfully so. Because think about, that's how people are treating the Chiefs right now. They're not playing good football, but just wait until they get to the playoffs. So again, it goes both ways. It goes both positive and negative. They even did that with the Chiefs last year. Oh, the Chiefs aren't looking that good, but just, whatever, wait until they get to the playoffs. They'll turn it on when they get to the playoffs. And they did. So it's not always, this isn't just one-sided. This isn't just focused on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Many teams who have a lot of success in the regular season, they ultimately reach a point where it's like, okay, let's see what you do during the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has been playing bad. 5 interceptions in 4 games. And yet no one's talking about it because no one's like, oh, this is a disaster. What's happening to Kansas City? What's happening to Patrick Mahomes? No one's really talking about it because they have the belief, well, he's just going to be fine in the playoffs. And he's already had all this playoff success and has obviously won Super Bowls. That's what happens when you win Super Bowls. It's okay to lose. It's okay to blow out a team one week and then get rocked the next week. It's okay to start off slow. It's okay to start off bad. Winning Super Bowls, having true playoff success solves all of that. So every time Lamar Jackson doesn't win in the playoffs, it's just used against him. Again, right or wrong, it's just the way how the media, how the fans, it's just how perception is built. And you can even look at Lamar here, and if you're a Ravens fan, you see last year as a disaster. You see last year as a failure. You saw yourself as the best team in the NFL last year, and they lost. And now this year, anything short of a Super Bowl is a failure. At this point in Lamar Jackson's career, and what the Baltimore Ravens have been able to do and how long they've been able to be successful, multiple MVPs, 1 seeds, all of this, if you don't win a Super Bowl, it's considered a failure. That's part of the problem. Well, one thing, it's a good problem to have because it's saying this is how great you are, this is how elite you are, this is how much people believe in you. But anything short of a Super Bowl is a failure. And it's the same thing with Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, 49ers. 49ers don't win a Super Bowl. This year was a failure. Kansas City Chiefs don't win a Super Bowl. This year is a failure. Buffalo Bills this year, this is a failure. Baltimore Ravens, if you don't win a Super Bowl, this year is a failure. That's what comes with greatness. So I'm really, really excited to see how the Baltimore Ravens continue to unfold. Obviously, they got off to a very interesting start to their season, right? Going 0-2, rocking the Cowboys, but then almost blowing it, and then rocking the Bills. The one thing that I want to see them win is win a close game like they weren't able to do against the Chiefs. Right? That's kind of the next thing. I'm interested to see how they continue to grow, how they continue to evolve. Harbaugh's already going back on his word. He was like, "Oh, we didn't sign Henry to be a 30, carry back." And well, now he's carrying the ball like 24, 25 times. So, yeah, maybe that is what you should do. So, which is a good sign because it means they're willing to adapt and evolve. But yeah, this was obviously a great game for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm just curious to see how they continue to evolve, how they continue to grow, and if they can finally, get over the hump that they've had for years now. That to me is what it is. So I want to see them just continue to refine what their game plans are and how they attack teams, and be continue to be flexible and continue to find different ways to win football games. Because right now they won these 2 games by just piling on offensively, of course. I know the scores were different for the Cowboys and the Bills, but it was very similar in the way where it was just like an onslaught. You need to be able to see them win different ways as well, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, just like the 49ers have done in years past as well. So to me, that will be the next step that I'm looking for, because if I just keep seeing them blow out teams, that's awesome and that's great and that's exciting. But the problem is you most likely aren't doing that in the playoffs. So you got to see it go back and forth, lots of lead changes. You got to see, at least that's for me. And again, I have that because my expectations for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson are very high. And so if you're going to be a true contender, be that. But right now, they obviously look like one of the best teams in the NFL, without a doubt. So definitely exciting stuff for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson? Do you think Lamar is still underappreciated? And if he is, I'm curious why you think so. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.